So a few days ago, Mewtwo King released a video about the stages that he thinks should be in Smash. I'll leave a link in the description to that video, and he's also holding a tournament that will have all of these stages legal, which I encourage you to register for, because this video is going to talk about what I think Ultimate needs right now, and that is what I think it needs an updated stage list. The current stage list we have is pretty small and outdated, and I feel like in the current meta of Ultimate, we need some variety. We cannot keep, if we want the game to survive and come out of this quarantine period stronger than ever for offline tournaments, I think we should start experimenting with new stages and counter picks. But before we start the video, I ask that you please subscribe down below. It takes one click, and if you ever feel like unsubscribing, it takes just another one to unsubscribe. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So the biggest problem that we have with current Ultimate is that the stage limits and the stage hazards are always turned off, and I feel like this limits a lot of choices that we can have for stages. For example, Smashville. Smashville's hazards on was one of the main choices for counter picks in Smash 4, and I think that we should have it still as a counter, instead of having it as a stagnant just with the platform in the middle. I think we should have hazards on Smashville, because that will make the game a lot more fluid, a lot more possibilities. And people seem to complain about, oh, if Smashville hazards on, people are just going to get carried off the sides because there's lots of moves that do horizontal damage. And I really don't feel like that is super a problem. I feel like, obviously, if we're going to have more stages in the game, you are going to get more bans. So if you're playing a character against a character like Sheik, where you know that if this platform goes to the side of the stage and you're a light character that might get fair comboed off the edge, you might want to ban that stage when thinking about what stage to go to against Sheik. I feel like this will add, turning hazards on for a lot of stages will not be as big of a problem as many people make it seem to be. For example, there are a few stages that I think they should add other than hazard stages, such as WarioWare, Unova. Keep both of the Yoshis, keep Lilat. Obviously, we're probably going to want to add Small Battlefield in. We haven't officially added it in the official rule set yet, but there are the most controversial when I mention these are stuff like WarioWare and Unova. People complain about Unova because sometimes the ledges will mess up the teleport of characters like Palutena and Zelda, but when going back, you can see that unless you do a certain movement, you will not be affected by choosing one of those stages as Palutena or Zelda or any other character with a teleport. So if you want to think about that before banning that stage, so if you're playing as Palutena, that might be one of the first stages that you always want to ban, just so something like that doesn't happen. And with WarioWare is a very interesting stage because the side blast zones are very, very small, and it has the stage layouts. The platforms are laid out in a very different way than most other stages. So I think WarioWare would be an interesting stage. I don't think you have to necessarily keep it. This is just a experiment that you can do in the current meta of Ultimate that I feel like we really should do right now, because this is a time to be experimental, to try to find out new things when we come back to offline tournaments, whenever that may be, that we could have a completely new rule set with all new stages that would lead to a lot more hype moments and a lot more, just not so much of the same stuff. Like, I don't want to pull up a Smash stream of an offline SmashCon 2021 and there's 3 straight games of going to PS2, right? You want some kind of variation in your stages for the viewers and for the players, because as a player, you want more options to counterpick. You don't want to also always, oh, I'm going against a Sonic, so I'm definitely going to ban Town and City so he doesn't camp me all day. That means I'm going to play against Sonic on FD, or I'm going to go to Battlefield every single time I play a Sonic, every single game. When you're adding something like WarioWare, there might be things that you would consider unfair, where you do get comboed off the sides, and after seeing that a few times, you can see, okay, WarioWare is not a stage that we should add to the ban list, or should not add to the stage list, so we can get rid of WarioWare. I don't feel like there's any problem with experimenting with stages like WarioWare and Unova. The only stage I do have an issue with is Castle Siege. I'm gonna put in some personal bias. I don't like Castle Siege. I feel like it's much too small of a stage, and characters will that it will benefit some certain characters, but I feel like for others it's just not a stage that you want to put in the game as a competitive stage. I would say that the only way that I could see it being put into a competitive rule set would maybe be at locals, but I couldn't see it being put into a competitive stage list at majors because it's just too small. It's kind of like a fusion of WarioWare, but it doesn't have WarioWare because it has the side platforms that you can wall jump on, but it also has the platform layout is very strange, and the biggest problem is that it has a slant in the middle, and as we know, many slants are a very big issue among players that want to add stages. For example, Yoshi's Brawl, a lot of people don't want to add that stage because of the slants it has on the sides. And we've seen lots of clips, right? You've seen the Twitter clips of Wolf down smashing at the ledge and it hitting at ridiculous range, right? That's just something that's going to happen with certain characters, and I feel like that's less of an issue on Yoshi's Brawl because it does have that platform above it and it's a wider stage than something like Castle Siege. So when thinking about when adding stages, you're going to obviously have to give more bans, and I feel like that's not really a problem. I feel like it will. Right now, in the current meta of Ultimate, you're going to see people going, the most common stages are obviously probably something like PS2 because it's a very neutral stage and it's pretty wide, and in this current meta, with especially online, you're going to have a lot of characters that don't want to get up and personal in your face, which is why I feel like adding something like WarioWare or adding something like Unova or keeping Yoshi's Brawl and Lilat, I feel like it'll, especially when you have the option to choose these closer stages, these not so far apart stages, I feel like it can make the meta more aggressive. It'll make it more exciting for the players and the spectators watching, because I feel like that's really something that we need right now. I feel like at the beginning of quarantine, a lot of people were really excited for these online tournaments, right? Everybody could join them. You didn't have to go to locals. They were free. You had all these top players joining. But now, obviously, since Ultimate's Online is really bad, you can tell that people are less and less hyped to enter these online tournaments. People don't want to enter them. You see people like Leo that are just kind of done with online tournaments. They're just like, yeah, I've played enough. It's not helping my game at all. It's only hurting my mentality, so they're just not entering these online tournaments anymore. And I feel like if we do want to continue, if we want to come out of this quarantine period strong and get back to offline events, I feel like we're going to need something. And obviously we're still waiting on the next DLC character, and that's obviously going to bring a lot of hype back to Smash. But I feel like currently, if we add these new stages, and especially with this Mewtwo Kings tournament coming up, which I, like I said earlier, encourage you to register for, I feel like it will bring, depending on how it goes, we can have a lot more conversations about adding certain stages into the actual competitive stage list. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think that these stages should be added, or do you think that we should get rid of some stages? Like I've heard talk of people saying, let's get rid of PS2 for Small Battlefield. Do you guys think that the Ultimate Smash stage list will change at all before we get to online? Leave whatever you guys think in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.